Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I am your friend Amudan Shaktivel. Today we will see one another listener from our listeners list, that is IRetryAnalyzer, how we can do the integration with the framework. Okay, so before doing that, we will also I want to highlight some of the key points that we need to remember when using the data provider in our framework. Okay, maybe I have covered all of them, but I just want to give a quick glimpse about what it is. Again, we also want to fix some of the existing issues that we already have. This is some tweaking we need to do. We'll do that, and we'll also write the retry analyzer logic, and we'll also see how we can let the test methods know that there is a retry analyzer that gonna listen all your failed tests. Okay, we'll also see how we can do that. Then we can also see how we can use IAnnotationTransformer listener to actually reduce the parameter that we are writing on top of the test methods, right? So we will do this. If you are not understanding any of this, that's okay. But for now, I'll cover first the important points to remember when using data provider. Again, if you notice, if you remember, if you have watched the previous videos, then you sure that we are using only one data provider for all the test methods. Again, this is not a hard rule, but if if there is a possibility that we can have just one method to handle all the test methods, right? One data provider method to handle all the test methods, then it will be a good approach. That's what we have done. So I would advise also you to do the same. If you have some other thoughts, definitely you can leave it in the comment section. Again, data provider will be called by each test method, so make sure we are not interacting with the external files like excel or json or yaml each time you are calling it. So it's better you read it only once from the excel, store it in some collection, and then use it. And that's what we have already done. And we also want to make sure that the excel and data provider should not be tightly coupled. Okay, if there is an option that other framework or other project needs to use some other files like json or yaml or xml, instead of excel sheet, then they should have the capability to that. We also have achieved that. And we'll also want to make sure that whenever we are reading some values from an excel sheet and the excel cell is empty, we want to make sure that we add a single quote, okay, to convert it to a empty string. Again, we can handle it. We can do some checks to check whether the check is null, and then we can skip it. But it's better you add a single quote, convert it to an empty string. There is no harm in doing that. Okay, this can avoid you a null pointer exception when reading from excel sheet. And if you are reading a data like a integer or decimal from your excel cell, make sure you convert them to string by appending a single quote at the beginning. Okay, you can still use a get numeric cell value method instead of get string cell value, but I don't want to complicate things while reading the data from the excel. So I'll keep it very simple. We are going to store everything in a list of map of string comma string. Okay, which means I'm going to hold a map. Okay, having a key a string and a value a string. I'm going to hold this whole map into a list. That's what we already achieved. So if you are not sure about it, please check the previous video. I will also look for the optimization, and we will try to continuously improve, right? So if we don't know that we are doing something wrong, then we cannot improve the code that we are writing. So we'll also always try to improve. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's get to the eclipse workspace. And first, let's fix some of the issues that we have. One is the run manager, right? So the value of the sheet of the excel sheet that we are hard coding it here. Again, it will be very difficult to manage if you hard code a lot of values like this. So what I can do, what I have already done, I have already created a two strings. Okay, run manager sheet and iteration data sheet, so that we can, I also created the getter and setters, getters for them, so you can use that in your code. Okay, I don't want to waste time in creating this constants and getters, so you can directly use them. So here, instead of that, instead of hard coding like this, I can use framework constants dot get run manager. Okay, run manager data sheet. So this will give me the run manager sheet at the runtime. Okay, so the same way in their data provider utils, we are hard coding this value. Okay, so instead of that, okay, I'm going to use framework constants dot get iterations data sheet. Okay, that's where I am storing all my uh, test data needed to run my test case. Okay, so this is all good. Now we have removed the hard code, but if you notice, the sonarint is suggesting you are using if condition inside a if block. Okay, inside a if block you are using another if condition, so it's okay to combine both of these. Why you are writing two separate things? Okay, combine both of these. Okay, so that it can make a lot of difference. Okay, So what I'm doing, I'm just adding a and I'm removing all these things. Okay, now we have combined a condition. This is one condition and this is one condition. We have combined both of these with and. Okay, when both these two matches, then we want to do this operation. That's good. Now we have done this in even in imethod interceptor. We have writing like this. Okay, there is a if condition and then if here. So you can also combine these two things. Okay, and I can also remove one of the blocks here. Okay, I hope it will be correct. Okay, I think we need to add one more thing here. Okay, and just add a and statement. Again guys, if you don't know how to check whether I have added correct braces and all, you have to just double click in front of it. Okay, okay, if you notice, I double click here, it is highlighting from where this bracket starts and where it ends. So it is easy for you don't have to count a number of brackets you open and close. Okay, you don't have to do that. Eclipse IDE will do that for us. Okay, now we are done some optimization, but there is something that I voluntarily made a mistake last time by using remove all from the list. Okay, why this is wrong? Okay, because see, whenever you are applying a remove from on an array list, okay, that's something very bad. Okay, what happens first, why we introduce this statement? Okay, suppose consider we have 100 data in this particular list. Okay, we had 100 data in this particular list, and each index is having a hash map. This is the first hash map, second hash map, third, fourth, five, six, and it goes on. Okay, suppose consider this zeroth index context have the details about my first test case, first iteration. The first index context detail about my first test case, second iteration. Okay, now what we are want to achieve the time is, whenever we execute the first test case, we want to remove this so that my array list becomes shorter, so that I can do much faster iterations to this. But this is something wrong. Why? Okay, see, in an array list, okay, people normally don't understand the array list. Okay, when you're actually using get and then passing the index inside this. Okay, this is going to be very fast. Okay, if you know big O notation, it's going to be fun. Okay, and if you don't know, that's okay, but imagine that it is going to be the fastest time that you can fetch a value. Okay, so this is going to be the fastest, so you don't have to optimize this further. Okay, and another problem is whenever you are removing the elements. Okay, suppose consider I am removing these two elements. Okay, after my first test case executed, what I then the second index has to move here. Okay, third index has to move here, your fourth index has to move here, fifth index has to move here, sixth has to move here. So all the elements, suppose if your array list having 100 elements, they all need to move and shift their positions to occupy the old one. Okay, consider a stream. Okay, consider a stream of water flowing in a river. Okay, you dig a a foot long you know uh, uh, you know something. So what happens, the the stream will flow towards it, right? The same way. Okay, there is a vacancy here, so all your elements moves to the left. The same way, if you are inserting something in the middle, the left hand side remains common, but the right hand side needs to move one space like this. Okay, it has to move like this to accommodate the new change. That's why the array list can only be beneficial, okay, is very fast when you are only retrieving the value from a list based on index. Okay, if you're trying to remove something, okay, or when you're trying to add something in the middle, okay, at that time you have to consider whether you want to use a array list or not. Again, the whole operation will work, but there are a lot of things happening behind your screens. Okay, in that case you can also go for linked list. Okay, when you want to do a lot of insertion and removal from the beginning, then you can do like this. Suppose consider this is a linked list. Okay, this is the linked list. Okay, so what happened, this is the first element. Okay, this is the second element, this is the third one, this is the fourth one. Consider like this. Okay, now here, okay, this is the start. Okay, this is the value of this particular thing. Okay, suppose 5 is the value here, 6 is the value, some I have stored some integers in this linked list. Okay, something like this. Now there is a it has two separate sections. Maybe the second one is pointing to the address of the next element. Okay, that's why if you are inserting, suppose I want to insert a new element between these two. Okay, what will happen, the value of this is 3. Okay, just the pointer of this will move here and the pointer of this will move here. The link between these two get removed. So the insertion and deletion, okay, is much faster in case of linked list. Okay, in our case, if you notice, we are actually retrieving the values based on the index. Okay, so there is no need that you have to optimize this by removing the elements. The reason why I have added this, I want to explain you guys. Whenever you are using array list, if you are using some remove or adding some elements in between, make sure you are not doing that unless there is a certain need. Okay, in my case this is not a necessity, so I can still remove this. Okay, everything will works fine, because even if there are 1,000 elements, it's going to operate based on the index, so it's going to fetch me the values at at the fastest time possible, so I don't have to do this optimization. Now let's get back to where we started, the main agenda, by integrating our IRetry listener, right? So again, there are so many folders. Again, I want to use listeners folders to perform this task. Okay, let me name it as retry failed test. Okay, good. Now it has to implement an interface that's coming from your test ng. They have done all the hard work. Okay, and they have given a interface for us. Okay, it has an unimplemented method. You write the logic and you can understand. Again, from just seeing this method, I am not able to understand what I want to do. I can understand this retry method accepts a boolean to be written. Okay, that's what I want. If I want to retry, what I need to pass, whether I want to return true or false. Okay, I don't know about it. Just click control and click this. It will take you to the actual code what they have written. If you notice, they have written clear commands. Okay, it will return true if the test method has to be retried. Okay, please write some logic yourself and return me true if you want to retry that particular failed method, false if you don't want to retry. Okay, this is what they are telling. So now we can understand, if you want to you know retry, we want to return true. Okay, so I cannot directly change this to true, then it will keep on retrying until an endless condition. So it's like endless condition, right? So what I need to write some logic. Okay, let me create a logic here. Okay, private int count maybe equal to 0. Let me keep it as 0, and let me also have a maximum retry count. Okay, retries. Okay, again guys, you can give the control to the user by adding this option in the property files, how many times you want to retry. And I don't want to give, I want them to maximum retry for only one time. Okay, I don't want them to do anything else, not more than that. Okay, so this is the default thing that was there. Okay, let me keep it there. Again guys, if you find the video a little slow, please change the playback settings to 1.5 or 2. If okay, if counter, if your count is less than, okay, retries, number of retries, what I want to do, I want to retry, so I have to return true. And whenever it's getting executed, I also increment this by 1, so that next time the condition will not match, so that it will return false. Good. Now everything looks fine, right? Now you can also, if you are using if condition and then you are returning true or false, you can also handle it with a single if statements. Okay, so instead of writing like this, what you can do, if instead of using if condition like this, you can directly value equal to, you can say boolean value. You can write the condition. The condition here is, if count is less than retrace, then they evaluate this particular expression. If this is true, return true. If this is false, return false. This is what we want to do. Again, if you don't have to mention this explicitly, because I also see people write like this. Okay, consider they have a boolean value. Okay, something like boolean a equal to true. Okay, there I have seen people writing like this. Okay, a equal to true. Okay, and they are writing some logic. See, boolean itself is fine here. Okay, you don't have to again compare it with true. Okay, so instead of writing a equal to true, you just need to write a. Okay, if you want to find a not operator, you can also use not operator if you want to check for false. Okay, so you don't have to actually compare with equal to true. That's what the problem is. Okay, so instead of writing like this, I can just leave it like this. Okay, now count plus plus. Okay, now I can directly return the value. So what it will do, so whenever this condition satisfies, it will return me true, and this will assign to value. Okay, whenever the condition fails, this will return me false, and then it will increment one, whatever, whether it is true or false, it will increment this, and then it will uh, you know uh, do this job. Good. But if the count variable is not there, then I can directly write like this. Okay, you don't even have to write so much of lines of code, you can just like this. Okay, so it's just something that I want to cover, but yeah, if you are okay to use like this, you can use like this. Count plus plus. Okay, good. Now we have written much clean code than before. uh, Good. So what else we want to do? Now I have created a retry mechanism, but I need to let my test methods know that you need to follow this retry behavior. Okay, so to do that, there is something called as retry analyzer equal to give the class name. Okay, retry failed test, right? Retry failed test dot class. This is the class that we have written our logic, so you just need to give it. Okay, and here the same thing. So for both the test methods, I'm doing like this. Again, now let me open my Excel sheet and then do some operations. Okay, if you notice, I have two tests. I have commented out one test by giving no here, and I have login and logout with the three set of data, but only two are executable, and among them one is true, one is false set of data, which means this will be passed, and this will be failed because of invalid credentials. Okay, so my expectation is this pass, this is fail, and the fail test needs to be retried. This is what my expectation. Let's see what's happening. Okay, save it again, close it, and everything looks fine. Let's try to run this now. Again, guys, if you have any feedback, please let me know. Okay, so if you are feeling something really slow, if you feel the video is a little fast, you can let me know so that I can cater your needs accordingly. Okay, so now the tests are getting executed. Good. Now the second test started. It will fail because of invalid credentials. That's absolutely fine, but we want this to be retried now, and we will get to the debate whether we want to have this retry mechanism in our framework or not. Okay, that may be the next topic. Now it's also retrying, and if you notice, again it failed. Okay, all good. We'll keep the discussion for the at the end of this video, but we'll cover one more thing now. Okay, let's see the reports getting opened or not. Good. The reports are not getting opened. One is passed, one is failed, and one is skipped. Again, when the test case fails, again on retrying, again it fails, it will not be marked as fail, it will be marked as a skip in test ng. That's how the default behavior is. Okay, okay guys, now everything looks fine, but if you notice, my test method looks little clumsy. Okay, is there any way? Okay, since I am writing the same thing, okay, on top of all the test methods. Okay, I'm having same data provider, I'm having same data provider class, having same retry mechanism. Okay, if there are 100 tests, do I have to write this 100 lines of code? Okay, in that case, what you can do, you can create one more listener. Okay, called annotation transformer. Okay, this is an annotation transformer which will help you to transform your annotations. Okay, so what I'm going to do, uh, implements IAnnotation. Okay, this is an interface. Okay, it's having a method transform. Okay, I need to write my logic inside this. Okay, this is a method that accepts nothing and returns nothing. Okay, it's just gives you the option to alter any of this. Either you can alter the annotation, test class, your test constructor, or your test method. Okay, in my case, uh, our ultimate goal is to remove this set of code. Okay, these are all the annotation, right? This is a custom annotation written by your testing developers. Okay, these are all the parameters for this. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, yes, I want to alter the annotation. Okay, just use the annotation dot set. Okay, I want to set the data provider first. Okay, what is the data provider I want to set? The name of the data provider is get data. Okay, and then second one, data provider class. Okay, I want to set the data provider class, which is actually data provider utils dot class. Good. Now I also want to set the retry mechanism. Okay, annotation dot set retry analyzer. give the retry failed test dot class. Now I have added this, but I want to let my test engine know that there is a listener called annotation transformer which will do this task. Okay. The first thing is, once you did this, you don't have to write this line of code. You can remove this. Okay. This will be set at the runtime. Okay. You don't have to set it statically. You can set it at the runtime. Okay. Now using testng.html, XML, I can add one more listener. Okay. Which can do the job for me. Okay. Again, I can make spelling mistakes. So what I am doing, just use copy this and paste it here. Something is wrong, maybe I'll remove this. Good. Now if you notice, we have three listeners. This is for writing logs and other stuff. This is for deciding the test cases what I want to run during the runtime, and this is for setting annotation transformer and retry test classes at the runtime. Okay, I'm using three different listeners. That's okay. It's just this is a one-time effort. You are not writing, on top of test method. Again, guys, you can still follow the old approach if you're not convinced with this approach, because while writing on top of the method, it might be very clear for someone who is reading your test that it has a data provider, that it has a retrying mechanism, okay, on top of it. But if you want to achieve this way, I'm just giving you an idea that we can also do this. Okay, now all my tests getting executed. It's all good. Now, while the test is getting executed, maybe we'll get back to the debate whether you want to have retry mechanism in your test or not. Again, one of the subscriber asked in the comment section, okay, he wants to use the retry mechanism when the internet speed is very less. He wants to try one more time. Okay, now I will add a question. Okay, suppose consider you have 1,000 tests. Okay, you are running 1,000 tests and your 200 tests got failed. Okay, how many tests do we expect will be passed when you retry them? Okay, maybe 10 or 20. Just because you want to make convert this 20 test cases to be passed, and then you anyways have to work on 180 failed tests. Okay, so you have to spend a lot of amount and time understanding why my test got failed in the first case and why it got passed in the second run. That's the first amount of effort you have to do. Again, the return of investment. Okay, I am rerunning 200 tests, but only 20 tests are getting passed. Is this return of investment is okay for you? That's the second thing you have to consider. Then you may ask a question, why then you are telling that you don't do all these retry mechanisms, then why you are teaching about it? See guys, there are something that is in our control. Okay, if your manager or your test lead who has a bigger authority over you, if he is telling you need to do this, okay, I'm just telling you that it's an option to do all these things. Okay, I can only suggest you the best practice, but if you have the freedom or the liberty to choose or write your own framework, I would advise not to have this mechanism at all. Okay, that's my personal advice. Again, if you can have different thoughts, but instead of fixing your flakiness in your test, retrying and then making them pass doesn't looks like a good approach. Okay, I would advise still to fix your test so that whatever the time you run the test, it should get passed or it should get failed with a valid defect details. Okay, you can even fail with your selenium thing, but make sure it's not failing because of your code issue, that's failing because of there is a actual bug in your script. Okay, that's all I want to cover for today. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you all for listening to me again. Have a good day.